Yo, and welcome to Hard Drive 32, a channel dedicated to 32-bit games, both in playing and creating them. I am Alex Volkin, your host. Welcome again. We're here Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 12:30 CST, and yeah, glad to have you here. So, just to recap, Mondays and Wednesdays are typically my game days, and Fridays are whenever I play like an indie game or a classic game inspired by 32-bit games. For those that don't know, that'd be something like a PlayStation 1 inspired game, Sega Saturn inspired game, any number of things like that. But I typically divide my time between the art side and the game playing side. But the last 2 weeks I've not been doing that because life has been crazy stressful. So I was doing a lot of playing games, which I played the Haunted Demo Disc 2021, which had a lot of really fucking cool games, to be honest. There's things like Risa, and there was one I played afterward called Protagoras Bleeds. That thing was sick, man. Yeah, I'm gonna drop that in chat. There were so many cool games on that Haunted Demo Disc, but if you guys want to play some spooky games that honestly have a lot of variety, that Haunted Demo Disc is 25 games, and they're all just demos for upcoming horror titles, or sometimes they're a complete experience. Usually they're just demos. They're so good. There was a number of like standout ones that I was so freaking impressed by. So if you want to watch my playthrough of it, I did 3 separate streams. They're all on the YouTube archive. And that's kind of like, if you ever want to go back and look at my older content, it's all on YouTube. But go check it out. There were so many cool games. I ended up playing 9 games on stream. Favorites being like Risu, and which I'll drop in chat the Steam wishlist for it, in case you guys do want to check it out. And it was like a Silent Hill inspired game that had like sick metal music, and you fight ghosts using like a Nokia cell phone. It was awesome. And then the other one that I was really impressed by was kind of like another Silent Hill inspired game. It was called Protagoras Bleeds. Also a Silent Hill inspired one, but man, the storytelling in it was really sick. And it was set in this like lonely hotel on the side of the road, which you don't really see that too often in games. You see them in films all the time. Whenever there's a horror movie, it's like you either have a haunted mansion or a haunted hospital, insane asylum, and then there's also just like the place off the side of the road. And it's less common in games to see the place on the side of the road. And Protagoras Bleeds, man, it was really freaking good. So yeah, check it out. I highly recommend watching the previous streams. It'll give you a little taste of what's out there, and then go try the demo disc yourself. You'll honestly love what you play. It's just so much fun. And I want to say that the stream, this Hard Drive 32 stream, current goal is to get to 100 subscribers on YouTube, because I want to get rid of that disgusting youtube.com/string of letters name. I want it to be youtube.com/ Hard Drive 32. That's what I would love. To be able to tell people, go like, yo, go check out Hard Drive 32 on youtube.com. Just type it in, whatever. It's easy. That would be my awesome goal. So if you're watching this, if you think someone else will enjoy it, please go share it, and hopefully they'll follow it, and we'll get to that 100 subscribers. And my primary goal is to get there by 2022's beginning. So let's do it. It's great. I know this is like what, September as it's called on Twitch, where people do subs. So yeah, go ahead and sub. Follow me on Twitch. I won't care either way. You get on there and you send some love to YouTube or Twitch. I'll be happy either way. So that's the past 2 weeks, has been playing some really fun games on stream to just de-stress. And it was a great way for me to kind of sit down, think about this channel, think about what I want to do with it. And I was working on some creative art stuff, and it was some fan artwork for Chainsaw Man. And to be completely honest, the reason why I was working on it, while I am a fan of Chainsaw Man, a lot of artists don't want to admit this, but chasing the algorithm is such a big deal for art stuff. So, for example, if I were to do a creative character work on Instagram, I'll get a pretty decent amount of likes and follows. But if I do something from, say, My Hero or Jujutsu Kaisen or Loki or anything that's a popular thing right now, you're going to get a lot more likes. So I love Chainsaw Man. It's sick. I can't wait for the anime. I'm still really excited. But I was primarily working on that, you know, because I wanted to grow like a fan base and that kind of thing. However, I am very fortunate to be in a place in life where I can actually work on games full time. And I don't necessarily need to chase that sort of like growth through that method. And so that's why I'm going to bring back Mondays and Wednesdays to really focus on what I wanted to do in the first place, which was make 32-bit games. So I thought today would be really cool to just go through a number of fun, like early projects that I had started to work on. They're very early. They're mostly design doc stage, but I wanted to go through them here on stream just to put them out there. And then I'll probably go on Instagram, do a little short video about each of them, and ask, you know, you, the audience, which one you guys would like to see as a concept. So as I'm going through these ideas, feel free to critique them. Man, baby steps on games, they take forever to make, so feel free to critique them as I'm going through these ideas, because they're so early. They're so early. But the thing about it is, like, I've worked in video games in the past. Like, I used to be an art director, and outside of the scene, people will see those big breakout titles like a Fortnite or a Minecraft or Apex Legends, any one of those, you know, just any title. And they think that it's the idea alone is what the success comes from. And that can be very much true. You can make a title that the gameplay concept is unique enough that alone is enough to sell it. Things like Among Us or Fall Guys. Those are fairly unique concepts that haven't been done before, and that's what kind of helped propel them to be breakout success. But for 99% of the other games out there, they're like I don't want to say Assassin's Creed because that's AAA, but Celeste, for example. I don't know if you guys have heard of the game Celeste. It's a platformer, excellent platformer. It's like in the traditional old school style of a Mario Brothers game and all that. Well, what makes it so exceptionally good is simply the polish of that title, from the art, the gameplay, all of that. And that's what I would say most games fall into. So I say all that because the gameplay concepts I'm presenting, some of them are derivative of other things. But just in the fact of me attempting to make them, one will be a massive accomplishment to do even a prototype by myself. Honestly, I want to get to a prototype by myself and then assemble a team for a cool project. Don't want to go this path completely alone. That's not my goal. I don't want to be a solo indie dev. I want to accrue a team. I want to accrue in the concept of One Piece. I want to accrue Nakama. You know, I want to accrue my crewmates and head off on uncharted waters and do that jazz. So, oh, by the way, guys, I'm seeing in stream the bots. Ugh. Twitch bots. But anyways, being an indie dev isn't my goal. 99% of games aren't novel concepts, it's purely execution. So these projects are honestly based upon ideas for other games that have inspired me in the past. One of them I'll present is inspired by Resident Evil. Another one I will present is inspired by old school platformers like Klonoa or Goemon. And or just like board games like Go. And I really, as I go through these, hope you enjoy them conceptually. And we'll see if in the end we find like success with them through simply the execution. So let's go ahead and I'll pop open the first one, which was called Aspire. Now, Aspire, let's see. I'll open up the pitch document. I'll put it up on the screen for you guys to look at. You don't have to just look at this thing all day. You can look at something on the screen here. Right. Boom. There we go. So this is actually me working on a design doc for this title. So Aspire, as I imagine it to be, would be a Resident Evil or say Parasite Eve inspired title in which the main characters are working their way up a mega structure to stop a hive a hive of almost insect-like creatures and parasites that have infected the populace within this large building and have turned them into monsters. And so the idea is how the idea kind of originally came about was I was looking into it's a Dubai megastructure, which I don't know if you guys have seen over in Dubai. There's some fucking insane buildings in Dubai. Dubai is like the rich person's playground. It's where they defy all natural order and just build the craziest shit on top of sand. Let me type in. I'll just type in Dubai Mega Tower because I'm sure there's a few. There's one that's like I think it's called the Caliph. Dubai. There we go, guys. It is called the one in particular that it looks like almost like a spiraled structure. It is Burj Khalifa. That's it, Burj Khalifa. Yeah, let me pop open a quick thing for you guys. Burj Khalifa. And what's interesting and novel about the Burj Khalifa is that this insane structure, let me see, is just taller than you can almost even fathom a building could be height comparison. I just want to put this in contrast so you guys kind of get an idea how insane this building is. And I think there's something taller now being constructed in China. Look, it looks like Dubai might have an even bigger structure coming. But like, here's the Burj Khalifa, the Taipei 101. Let's see if there's Shanghai WFC. I've heard of these. I guess you could use the Eiffel Tower as a good relative example of how this thing is 324 meters, and the Burj Khalifa is nearly 3 times that height. It's nuts. And what makes it so spectacular is Burj Khalifa, you can straight up just live inside of it. It has like countless malls that have roller coasters inside of it, malls that have fucking ski slopes. There is a ski slope rifle range inside the Burj Khalifa. There are gardens. There are massive pools. Like, let me see if I can find something interior shots for you. Essentially, if you are of such high wealth, you strictly could live inside the Burj Khalifa, never step outside of it, do all your business, and it is the reality in the world in which you would exist in. Look at this! Look at this, guys! It's just a water park. Not a big deal. It's just a freaking water park inside a skyscraper. It's nuts. This entire structure. And I thought, how fascinating and how perfect for a game would it be to have a player have to ascend such an insane structure with all these different biomes, with all these different environments, while combating enemies, while sneaking through the structure. And so that's the idea, is there's this terrible hive parasitic structure that has started to grow at the top of the tower, and through the air ducts, through all these things, has contaminated the people within, and has begun to evolve / transform them into these insect-like monsters. And for the main character, I've got 2 lead main characters. One is, and by the way, I'm working with one of my buddies to write this, so he and I have been going back and forth on this pitch and stuff. But as it stands, we've got kind of 2 lead characters. We got Val, and Val, what I imagine her to be is the female Bruce Willis. So you think of Bruce Willis in the Nakatomi Plaza, it is a off-duty cop that is put in a bad situation and then gets ran ragged and ends up, ascending this tower to take down the villain in the end. So for Val, she's out to save her family, which was near the top of the structure. And it's about her battle to reach her husband and child at the top of the structure. And I wanted her character to, one, I thought of her as being particularly muscular and strong, and of the 2 main characters, I wanted her to be the bruiser, and her appearance to be either be like in street clothes or in office attire, or anything that would hide just how incredibly strong she is. And then as the game goes on, similar to Bruce Willis, who his clothes becomes tatters as the games go along, I don't want her clothes to become tattered in like a more sexualized way, but what I intend is for her to, like, lose her sleeves of her jacket and show her like huge muscles, or yeah, that's about it. Probably some midriff, keeping it classy, but essentially just showing that her incredible strength and her journey against this diversity, these monsters that all stand in her path. And on the opposite side of it is going to be the character named Crown, and Crown is an agent, a masked agent. Similar to, I don't know if you guys have played Resident Evil, but there's a character named Hunk. And Hunk, he's kind of what makes him novel, and he's one of the favorites in the series for most fans, is his appearance and his identity always kind of remain a secret. And the thing about it is, in the perspective game that I'm talking about, I would like his goal is he's out to sample part of the core for an organization. So his role is, I wanted him to actually be more stealth based. He's to get in, get out, not to be known to be there. And so he is quicker, he's light, and he is not he's going to be good at combat, of course, but he's not going to be doing the physicality things that Val would be doing. Instead, he might be using more technology, tools, and other things to navigate this tower. And that's the kind of dichotomy I wanted to have with the 2 campaigns, was Val's the bruiser, Crown is the light, tool user. And visually, I wished it to be similar to the original Resident Evil games, and it's something I'm still up in the air with how to achieve it. If I go strictly Resident Evil, say, Resident Evil would be a great example. Dino Crisis. Dino Crisis would be a great example. So I want it to be full 3D, kind of like how Dino Crisis is, and not the Resident Evil route of doing pre-rendered backgrounds. Part of that's just from a feasibility of producing the game. If I go the 3D route and it is in this tower, this mega structure, I can technically increase or decrease the content within it, because there's going to be themes to the floors and sections. And so there's all sorts of cool sections like me and my buddy have been thinking up. So for example, we wanted one of the higher floors to have like a large scale like aquarium for visitors, but beneath that is the mall. And what happened was the aquarium broke apart and flooded the mall. So in the mall section, you'd be wading through waters and maybe some like contaminated fish creatures and those type of things. But then whenever you go higher, you're going to be in the aquarium section that is shattered glass and all that, and you'll actually be going through the aquarium dioramas and maybe using a maintenance route to get to the next floor. There's all sorts of the Burj Khalifa skyscraper idea, that structure, the idea of a megastructure is really just the concept of a sealed building with just unimaginable things within it. So there's just such a variety that can be done. So that's one of the compelling things with the environment is I wanted it to be 3D. That way I can extend the content and make it longer or shorter as needed, you know, whatever it works for playtesting. But then also it lets me create environments that I couldn't necessarily do with a pre-rendered background as easily. And I do think also the way I imagine it playing is similar to Resident Evil 4 and doing the over-the-shoulder aiming where you get to precisely aim at. And the idea in my head is to actually make it play similar to the game Winback, which for me, I don't think a lot of people consider this. I consider Resident Evil 4 as being a successor to Winback. So Winback was a N64 shooter that kind of controlled like a Resident Evil title. And as we'll skip this cutscene here, you could take cover in it, but here's the novel thing. And so you see him taking cover and kind of moving around, but then also watch what happens when he aims. Oh gosh, this feed is so low quality, you may not be able to see. One second, guys, let me just make it boost it. Winback emulator. So whenever you aim in Winback, it has a red laser dot, and you can you can control your aiming specifically. Oh, come on, guys, don't give me cutscenes. There we go. All right, go and aim, buddy. There you go. Okay, check this out. Let's see how he was able to aim his gun, and it's based on the relative lock-on of the character. It was a really fun system, but there was like a little bit of flaws with how it controlled. And I do want to play the sequels to Winback because it had like a chunkiness, like just a you would click into this crouching position, and like it was very mechanical. There was some problems with like how you would stick to the cover system, but on the whole, damn, did it feel good to play. And the crazy thing is, it's oft forgotten about in history. Like it sold well enough to get a sequel, but you saw how that aiming was with the red laser dot, and then let me just go ahead and here we go, guys. I'll skip ahead to a good gameplay sequence here. Oh my gosh, sorry guys. Okay, here you go. So he shot pretty quickly, so if you aim. So he has that red laser dot, does it over the shoulder, can't move while he's doing it. All of these things were present in Winback. And I mean, there was some of this, the stopping and shooting was in previous Resident Evil games. But boy, this is sneakily suspicious like Winback. I would love to talk to the director of this Resident Evil 4, which I think is Jun something, Jun Takeuchi. Let's see if I can earn some credit real quick. Come on, guys. Jun Takeuchi. How close am I? Change call me. Woof. Woof, guys. I should have known that. Evil Within, dude. All those things. Woof. Where did I even get that name? Jun Takeuchi. Japanese video game producer. Okay. Oh, he's the Japanese producer for Resident Evil series. Okay. Oh, I was off. But I'm glad I didn't spout something totally unrelated. But anyway, so Winback, I feel, is like the precursor to Resident Evil 4. And honestly, I want to take Winback and just polish its movement mechanics, polish its cover mechanics, and see what comes of that. Yeah, let me see here. Let me go through. So the way, I don't know if you guys have seen a pitch dock. Jesus Christ. Pitch dock. Pitch dock. I don't know if you guys have seen a pitch dock before, but it's a rundown of the mechanics or the concepts within a game. So here's my pitch. Ascend with another into the neon-lit megastructure named Aspire, while facing against terrors crossed between the biology of human and insects. Look and feel. Visuals are a novel mix of the modeling, texturing, and audio of these early 90s survival horror titles, but employ modern specularity and emissives. Object and particle count, as well as AI, may also take full advantage of modern tech. The title is a what-if early PS1 style art had remained while lighting models had evolved. The audio is treated similar to the visuals, while the audio will feature compression to have the same crunchiness to its effects and synthesized soundtrack to unnerve the player. Other modern audio technology will be taken advantage of. This ethos of cherishing what we loved about PS1 survival horror is retained in Aspire's gameplay. While the character may control with modern 3D movement, the pace of the gameplay is more akin to Resident Evil 2 than Resident Evil 2 Remake. Minute movement to avoid the grasp of creatures, ammo conservation, and proper item management is key to survival. Actions have consequences, and it's not an action every millisecond, but an action every second. But yeah, there's a lot of little things that go into it, and it's just kind of like breaking down like concepts and what kind of gameplay loop and progression and all those type of things. And this was one of the ideas. So this was like the survival horror idea of Aspire. And I had a few other things with it. We had taken this concept a little bit further. I'll show you guys that. Let's see if this opens up. Authorize. Uno momento, por favor. I must get permission from myself to open this. Oh, come on, thing. Let's not worry about it, guys. What it was, let me see if I can zoom in on it. There you go. It'll be a little hard to see, but what this was, and I can log into my other account to get to it later and show you guys, is this the breakdown of some introduction levels as well as like key events that happen throughout. So puzzles, enemy encounters, that kind of thing. And then the other part of it was we had worked through a lot of, this was thanks to like our writer, my buddy, who I'll probably bring on a stream a little bit later, already began writing through some weapons, some character stuff, comments, all those kind of things, and side characters. And the idea too was, so I thought it'd be interesting and novel if as you ascend this tower, I wanted to take on the narrative structure similar to that of like of Metal Gear Solid, and that you could contact other characters within the tower and locations, and then depending on your completion of an objective within each section of the tower will determine the fate of that character, and then those might function in with the ending. That's all part of what's known as feature creep, which means in dev scene that something is making a game take longer. So that's something I would consider, but might be at a later date after core mechanics are smoothed out. Yeah. Thank you again, by the way, for people joining here on Hard Drive 32. Always appreciate it. And let's see here. I got one other document I'll show you guys for Aspire. Then we'll move on to the next one. Then we have. I almost want to. I'm not gonna blur this shit, but I also created this nice long questionnaire list that I had the writer fill out. Or no, wait, this is one I filled out. So this is what drives your main characters, the plot. Like it was a nice little 11-page document breaking down just the primary events and themes and plot twists and endings, like all that kind of stuff that I wanted to cover within the game. And then the last bit isn't super exciting, but I'll still prop it open. Just because I wanted to give you guys an idea of like where the game is. So this here is my Excel document, which breaks down gameplay features that would be needed for a prototype, and I have them ranked by their necessity, their category, the name, major game of, descriptions of those things. Because I really wanted to have a good idea of the features going into a prototype and what kind of work I was going to face making it. And I even had things like basic character stats. Oops, sorry, guys. Okay, we good. It was a message from a school teacher at school, but all is well. So then we had basic stats for the characters, and actually here's a great example of some mechanics and things that make each of the characters different. We have Operative Crown. His health was 100, but if you look, Val's was a little bit lower, and they both have equal infection points. This was a concept, by the way. Anything in yellow here is like, we're thinking about it. But this was like infection points, with the idea of perhaps they could be infected over time, being in certain areas without, say, a mask to prevent infection. Their base speed, and if you look, Val is the faster of the two. Crouch speeds are the same. So similar to Winback, you can go into a crouch mode and kind of like stealthily move around. I thought that'd be novel for him. Roll speed, I had Val with about 50%. Is that right? 25%? 30%. 30% faster roll time. And so that would let them evade a little easier. Then this is called alert time. So alert time was, I thought it'd be interesting if enemies, so I wanted stealth to be kind of a mechanic, and it was essentially how long an enemy you could be in their cone of visibility before they found you. And so that's what this kind of like alert time is referencing. But one thing that Operative Crown can do is he is a weaker character, but he's going to have a kind of like a burst mode where he can infect himself and gain powers temporarily. And one of the things that it does is while he is in the infected mode, I was thinking it'd be novel if the rate at which enemies found him was a little bit less, because they, similar to like if you were in a zombie horde and you covered yourself up with the gore and viscera of zombies, you can't be detected. As if you're like Shaun of the Dead or Walking Dead, if you're a really good actor and you're covered in some guts, zombies ain't gonna find you. So that was kind of the idea, is like when he's infected, he's a little bit harder to detect. And then counter window. So if an enemy strikes at you, you can do your evasive dodge to dodge out of the way. And the 20 frames, what am I talking about? That's a lot. I need to cut that down. But the idea was like the frames in which you could trigger it. And so I want to have them separate values because I still want to play with it. And then crit counter window. Once you do a successful counter, you gain a few frames worth of slowdown, and that's to do a follow-up action. And Val has slightly more than Crowns. And boy, there's all sorts of things. Just enemy abilities. Yeah, these other ones I don't think I got into all that much. Yeah, stuff for later. I'd structured it out for later. Whew. That was everything to do with the Aspire game, which is like my Resident Evil inspired project. The other ones aren't quite as fleshed out, but I still wanted to go into them. The next one, which was only a single document for, so you only have to look at one document this round, it's called Joust. This one I'm actually really, really freaking excited about. This one I think is like simple structure-wise to pull off and would just be like fantastic if it worked out. The idea of Joust is, imagine playing an online multiplayer game in which you're all riding mythical creatures in a jousting competition. So you might be riding, say, an Asian mythical dragon like Seryu, like one of the dragons of one of the cardinal direction dragons. Or you could be riding upon a majestic tiger, or your knight could be riding on a turtle. But the idea would be it'd be play similar to that of Rocket League, and have a very good like VR mode, and you would be piloting. It'd be like driving a car, and your mouse or other analog stick would independently aim your jousting rod, and the creatures you ride could jump, and then also have a dash, or like I was currently thinking they'd have just a special action. And so there'd be like 3 different types of mounts. And those were, God, I haven't visited this in a while. Those were 3 mount types. Okay, here were my 3 mount types. The spin mount. So for example, you take a turtle, the turtle would spin, and that would allow you to 360 hit with the jousting rod, but maybe not be as powerful. And then the dash mount would be, say, like you had an ostrich, and you could push a button and dash charge into someone, but then it leaves you vulnerable in the afterwards, either because you missed the target and then your back's exposed, which is the most vulnerable, or the jump mount. So, I don't know, let's say it was a tiger. So you could jump in the air and then joust downwards at the enemy. And the thing about it was, I was thinking the jousting rods, the ends of them, would be quite large. And if 2 collide, then you negate the effect. So it's really like you have to collide either with if you collide with someone's mount, then you stun them into a location. If you collide with the person, then you could potentially knock them off. And the way I was thinking was, all knights would have their set of armor. They get hit once with a jousting rod, then they lose their armor. The second hit knocks them off. You have to get 2 successful hits on people. And if you want to recharge your armor, there is armor recharge points throughout the stage. And similar to like a Battle Royale, the arena itself would slowly close into a circle, driving opponents in towards each other. And I'd think only like 6 to 9 players would be on a playing field at once. And that, I'd say probably 9. And then the potential of a 3 teams matchup could happen. Dang, man. I'm going through this and all the customizations and other things I have for this. Yeah, this is actually an idea I'm really fucking excited about. So that was the one of the other ones. That one, I think, honestly, with cosmetics and all sorts of things, has the greatest potential as far as finances go. Making money to eat food and stay alive and buy monster. Let's see here. Then we got Punkz. This one, I don't even know if I really filled out much of it. It was just an idea. Yeah, this one's really vague. So the Punkz one, the idea is, what if there was an Advance Wars type title, which I don't know if you guys know about Advance Wars. Pop it open. Advance Wars. The strategy game in which you moved units around, very colorful, very cartoony. Pop open a video. And Advance Wars is getting a reboot here soon, which is awesome. It's a great game. There we go. Okay, we'll play it for a moment here. So you move your troops up, and once they're near each other, they attack. If I can find a picture of that. Oh, here you go. Here's troop movement. So the idea for Punkz was, what if there was a similar Advance Wars, you know, like this strategy game, and the idea was warring armies of punk subgenres went up against each other. So like diesel punk versus cyberpunk versus let's see, what's another one? Steampunk versus there's actually quite a, I almost wonder, there's probably quite a lot. And the idea would, these factions would go against each other, and like they enter into some sort of universe colliding kind of things. That was another idea. And let's see here, one of the other ones I've actually done quite a bit of work on. Oh, and before I continue, let me show you guys something. I've actually done some art for some of these games, just a little bit of art. Log in real quick and show you. Log into my Instagram, and it'll be on my personal Instagram, which get up these images here. Yeah, thanks again, by the way, for being here. Listen to these game ideas. It means a lot, honestly. This is like a long journey ahead, and just having people here support, you know, motivates me and makes me feel good about it. Because a little scary working on games and just undertakings, because they're such massive undertakings. Oh, come on, thing. Ridiculous. 1 second, guys. I got a backup plan. I was trying to load up into it, and it kicked me out as it would. Booting up the blue stacks. And after I'm done going through these little ideas here, I might sit down and we'll just chill for a bit and maybe play a little short game of something. All right. All right. Login request sent. That's nice. Oh, good. I got it. Let me in. All right. We got it, guys. Sorry, that took me a moment. Let's see here. Pop open me art. And this, by the way, this is some of my personal art. Yeah, so this was actually like when I was thinking of Val, this was like me just working on some basic character stuff for her. Bustle-bound lady. And the idea was I also thought about her being like a boxer and that being part of like her abilities set. And then the next game idea I was going to bring up was one called have it currently called just like Project Corporate Castlevania, but the idea is, what if you know how people say they come from old money, and that's like the wealthiest in the world, they come from old money. What if those people that came from wealth and power were, say, vampires or werewolves secretly, and they've been running the world from there, and those that work up to the very top of the corporate food chain can then choose to become one of those mythical monsters. And so your character discovers the truth about it and decides to fight back using a baseball bat. They're like a softball player, a baseball bat. They're, of course, on the team softball, or the softball team for the company. This blessed baseball bat in holy water and take down these enemies. In a way, I was thinking of it as a platformer. Kind of like Mario Brothers or Klonoa or Goemon. And that plus a mix of Yoshi's story. So you would fire this bat across the level, and it would collide with enemies, and then you could ping pong it back and forth as it approaches you again. So let me boot up, I'll show you. This is Yoshi's story. You'll see him fire off an egg here in a second. Always firing eggs in Yoshi's story. The idea being you could choose to take a moment, stick yourself in a location, and then aim your baseball bat. But unlike Yoshi's story, where it just goes on forever in a direction, I would want to design the arenas to be kind of like a cylinder. So you could always go in a perfect loop, and your ball would travel across the screen and then come back. And it would be similar to that of Dragon's Crown, which is a great Vanillaware title. Vanillaware makes amazing, not Dragon's Crown, sorry. Bright Company, wrong game. Odin Sphere. Odin Sphere. So if you, let me see if I can get a video here. No ads. Obviously not a YouTube Premium subscriber. I'm sorry, Al. Also, Lost Judgment looks fantastic. I'm excited about it because I enjoy the Yakuza series, and I think I would dig some Lost Judgment. All right, so let's see here. Here we go. So, pausing for just a moment here. I was going to demonstrate a few things here on screen. So if you look at the top right portion of the screen, you'll see this like mini map here, and what it is showing you is, one, there's a box to demonstrate your current area of where you exist on the screen, and then if you go left, it goes infinitely left, goes infinitely right, because it always wraps around. And so what they do is on Odin Sphere, they indicate where the enemies are outside of your vision, so that way you can keep going around the cylinder and go attack them. And that's exactly the same concept I would want to do with this game, is you would fire a ball off, you would see where the ball is bouncing from left, and as it wraps back around, so that way you would have an idea of where it was approaching from, so you could jump up and then hit it again and keep it bouncing around the arena. So in a way, you would have your combo going where you're beating people with the bat, fire the ball off, keep kicking butt, and then when the ball comes back around, jump up, slam it again, so that way it starts colliding with additional enemies. And I thought it was just really fascinating and interesting. And as you defeat these creatures, you would gain, say, different abilities or modes. So like when you defeat the werewolves, the werewolf clan, and the werewolf clan I picture as being in charge of, I think they'd be in charge of cosmetics, because they're always constantly have to trim their fur, take care of themselves. Then you would gain like a werewolf berserker mode, and also your main character uses softball. I would imagine each of the bosses would have a particular sport that they're associated with, and they would use that in combat as well. That's kind of the fun game I had in mind for that one, for what I'm calling Corporate Castlevania. So that, I think, let me see, that largely wraps it up. Make sure. I have some other ones that were fairly vague. There was one called Go Bigger, which was the idea of what if you had a Go game, which I don't know if you guys know the board game Go. It's one where you put black and white pieces down and you take control of a board. And I thought how fascinating it would be if you would play on smaller boards, and as you won those boards, those became a new point of control for you to play on a larger board. So Go Bigger was an idea of taking the game of Go and about you continually winning games against other players and increasing your territory control on a global scale. But the problem I ran into whenever I thought about that game is, and it is what it is, but the more you play, the more you deal with the fact that people are going to be always online at off times than you are. How do you take control of territory that people have already taken control of? Is it strictly time? Do you have to keep logged in to keep your territories? Like, it's a concept that could work, but there's a lot of things mechanically involving just the real world aspect of it. And mobile games have to deal with that a lot of time. Like, if, for example, I don't know if you guys ever played an older game called Ebony, and I'm sure there's like way similar games now, but there was a game called Ebony long ago in which you took control of territories with your castles, and me and everyone in our dorm rooms were super duper into it. But what happened was someone in the dorm room would wake up at 2 a.m. and, take over an area, or people in Russia or anywhere, honestly, within Europe that are in a totally different time zone would come in at off hours and crush us. And so, I mean, they let that happen on their game. They just let it happen. So there really has to be a way to counterbalancing when a player is playing the game Go Bigger and when they're not. How do they keep their territory? How do they lose their territory? And how do you deal with the fact that people are in different regions? And maybe it is simply the fact that you keep them region locked. Only North America versus North America, only, what have you. But even still, it's one that's conceptually simple, but then ends up breaking down under larger and larger scales. So it's kind of like modifying chess, modifying Go, modifying checkers. As soon as you modify those games that are so clean and sophisticated, you come to find out that they're essentially every moving part they need to be and no more, and that introducing a new part into that system ends up breaking the system in and of itself. But who knows? I would like to explore that too, because I think there's something novel to come out of that idea of like a multiplayer game in which as you rank up and as you win, the scale keeps increasing. Whew. That's a lot of talking. I'm gonna take my breath. All right. So that's a vast majority of the game projects. I'm very curious. I mean, please like, comment, subscribe if there's one in particular that you really, really loved. And go to my YouTube channel, HeartDrive32, because I'm going to probably do a short synopsis. You know what I'll probably do? How about this, guys? On Wednesday, I'll work on a little bit of concept art. Maybe a short couple sketches for each of the games, and then put a poll out to Instagram and see which games they think are the most interesting and fascinating. Or maybe that's what we'll just work on for the next couple weeks, is just like drawing out these concepts and ideas and then getting feedback from other people and see what they think. Cool. So yeah. All right. Let's go ahead. I think I've got quite a busy day today. We may call it for today. I'll break down a little bit of my life real quick. Right now, I do have duplexes and rental units, and we had 3 of them go vacant. And it's been madness to clean them all. Oh my gosh, guys. There was one of them. So they've lived there for a long time, and they've been kind of like, not quite hoarders, but on that line. And they moved out, and they did their best to clean what they could. But we've got one of those giant Bissell green floor cleaners, like the most heavy duty floor cleaner you get. And we also have straight up, my wife bought it. I'm trying to remember what it's called. It breaks down organics inside of carpets to the point where if you leave it on a carpet or rug or whatever, it will strip the dyes from that carpet. It's strong shit, like really strong. And I had so much trouble cleaning this carpet because of dog poop, dirt, tons and tons of dirt. I kept making passes for it. It kept filling up the basin for this, and I would pour it out in the toilet, all this dirty water, and it was like chocolate milk each and every time. And it was so bad, I got a pressure washer out. A pressure washer which can take gum off of sidewalks, which can take, paint off of walls, take paint off of cars. And took it into a home, and I was spraying the floors to get this poop off. Is disgusting, and I spent hours doing it. And even after I dumped it like 4 or 5 times this basin, it still was pitch black as night each and every time I poured it out. It was so gross. So that's part of why my life is so busy, is I'm not personally sucking the poop out of a carpet. Bissell Green is sucking the poop out of a carpet. And it's been crazy, honestly, getting those ready. And I'm actually so one of the people that applied, there's 2 units, they're both connected. One of the people that applied, she runs a cleaning business. I'm thinking about literally giving her the clean unit, and paying her to clean the dirty unit, because I think it's beyond my capabilities. I didn't think I'd ever encounter such a thing. I like to clean hoarder-like stuff, and this is beyond the pale. So that's kept me crazy busy. All of that's crazy busy. And then I'm prepping for potential job here in the future, that teaching job. It's been nuts. But anyways, doesn't matter, because I'm still going to be here on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm sticking to this goal, to this commitment. I want to say thank you so much for being here. Like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends. Give out the love. Please take that moment, tippy tap with your fingers, share it. I want to get to that 100. It means so much to me. If I found out who the 100 followers are, maybe I'll bake you all cookies and send a cookie in the mail for you. And thank you guys so much for being here. I love you. I'll check you out tomorrow, Wednesday. And you have a wonderful Tuesday. Catch up with you in a day. Ciao.